Hi friends, it's Mrs. Coleman here to talk to you about time and elapsed time. So in this lesson, we're going to be looking at converting units of time, changing from minutes to minutes and hours, and changing from seconds to minutes, things like that. But we're also going to be looking at elapsed time, where we look at start times and end times and how long that is in between, how much time has gone by. So for this first part, we're going to be looking at just converting units, kind of like we have all week. Okay, so I told Jules we were going to be looking at time, so she drew a clock for everybody. Now, as we change these units, we are going to have to remember that with changing units, you've got to think about when we are converting units, what are my conversions? So this first example we're looking at, it asks us to change 200 minutes to hours and minutes. So over here, I'm going to do 200 minutes equals how many hours and minutes? Well, I know that when I go from minutes to hours, that there's 60 minutes equals 1 hour. So when I change from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, I'm going to get smaller, so I'm going to have to divide. So I'm going to take my 200 and we're going to divide it by 60. Now, 60 can't go into 2, and 60 can't go into 20, but I know 60 can go into 200 3 times, because 3 times 60 is 180 when I do 3 times 6 and add the 0. Now, this is going to be the part that's going to be important. When I'm going to change this, I just saw that I made 3 groups of 60. So 3 groups of 60 minutes is 3 hours. Now, what I have here, though, is I have 20 left over minutes, because remember, this is 200 minutes, so this is 20 left over minutes. So up here, I'm going to say that 200 minutes is actually 3 hours and 20 minutes, okay? Now, that's really important, because a lot of times when we do things, we don't just watch a movie that is 1 hour long or 2 hours long. Sometimes it's 1 hour and 40 minutes. Maybe one of our blocks at school is 1 hour and 30 minutes. So it's really important to be able to convert back and forth. Okay, now for these next problems, what we're going to be looking at is elapsed time. And elapsed time means how much time has gone by. That's when you're talking about a start time, an end time, and finding the time in between. So when we're solving elapsed time, one of the best strategies to use is using a number line or a visual. And I think this is really going to help today when you guys are working on your math mystery. So this example, it says Monica spent 2.5 hours working on her computer. If she started working at 10:30 a.m., what time did she stop working? So here we've got the number line that shows 10:30, and then they wrote plus 1 hour. So as we keep going, you can do plus 1 hour, and I know that would bring me to 11:30. So I know she didn't work for 1 hour only, so I've got to add another hour. So 11:30 plus 1 more hour would bring me to 12:30. That's getting me closer to my final answer, except she worked 2 whole hours and then a half hour. So a half hour, I also have to remember, is 30 minutes. So if I'm at 12:30 and I add a half hour to that, that brings me up to 1 o'clock. Okay, so looking at another problem with elapsed time where they give me the start time and I have to figure out my end time. We've got this problem over here. So my start time is 9:17 a.m. and they're saying that 5 hours and 18 minutes have gone by. So how I like to do it, you can draw a box, you can draw a number line, whatever is better for you. But I'll write down 9:17. So if I add 1 hour, that'll bring me to 10:17. And I gotta keep track, that's 1 hour. My next hour would be 2 hours, and that will bring me to 11:17. 3 hours would bring me to 12:17. 4 hours, and remember, once we hit 12, we've got to go back. 4 hours would bring me to 1:17, oops, 1:17, because now we're in the afternoon. 5 hours is going to bring me to 2:17. And I've finished the 5 hours. Now I've got to add 18 minutes to that. So here I know I can do 17 minutes plus 18 more minutes. And that means I'm adding the 18 to the 17. That's going to bring me to 2:35. So here when I added my hours, I was counting up on the hours side of the time. But when I added the minutes, I added it to this part over here. Okay? Now, here's another example we can do together. 11:38, 3 hours and 10 minutes goes by. So again, using scrap paper, you're gonna write down your start time, and I've gotta add each of the hours. So if I add 1 hour, that's gonna bring me to 12:38. If I add 2 hours, that's gonna bring me to 1:38, because after 12 I have to go back again and start at 1. And if I add 3 hours, that's gonna bring me to 2:38. Now, I also have to add the 10 minutes. So that means I'm adding it to this 38, so the 2 is gonna stay the same. But 38 plus 10 more minutes is gonna bring me to 2:48. So a lot of your problems today are gonna be like that one. Now, you can also use this strategy though to solve going backwards or how much time has gone by. So I wanna look at these two. So here I've got my start time is missing, but I know the end time and I know the elapsed time. So what I'm gonna do, I don't really have a lot of room here. We'll solve these on the whiteboard. So my end time is 1:15 in the afternoon. So I'm gonna put that over here. And I know I've got to go backwards 2 hours and 37 minutes. So if I go backwards 1 hour, that'll bring me to 12:15. If I go backwards 1 more hour, that'll bring me to 11:15. Now here's where things get a little bit tricky with this one. So I've got to go back 37 minutes, but I can't take 37 minutes away from 15 minutes. So I can take away 15 minutes, which would bring me to 11 o'clock. But it wasn't just 15 minutes, it was 37. So I could either do it in my head or I could do a little scratch work. I need to go backwards 37 minutes, but I only did 15, which means I need to go back 22 minutes. So if I go backwards 22 minutes from 11 o'clock, I've got to think 60 minutes minus those 22 that I'm going backwards. You're going to have to do a little regrouping. You're going to realize you'll be at 38 minutes. So I'm going backwards to the hour before. And that would bring me to 10:38. So going by different hours is going to make it a little bit more tricky, and you're going to have to do a little side work or break apart your minutes like we did here, okay? Now, the other type of problem you can solve is this one, where we have a start time and end time, and we have to figure out how much time went by. So let me erase my board. And when we have our start time of 7:41, and I want to get to 8:50. Now, I've got to figure out how to get there. Well, like I did before, I can start with my start time and I'll go and add 1 hour. And I'm going to see that that would bring me to 8:41. Now the nice part is 8:41 is very close to 8:50. So my hours are right where they need to be, but my minutes aren't. So how many more minutes do I need to get from 41 to 50? So I'll say that's 1 hour. And here I'm going to add 9 minutes. So my elapsed time would be 1 hour and 9 minutes. So like I said, guys, you're going to get better with these with practice, but drawing it out and kind of using this visual number line type strategy is really going to help you to solve these. Good luck today.